How's it going, everybody? In this video, I'm just going to do a quick update on some new developments in the Duncan v. Becerra case, also known as the Freedom Week 1.0 case or California's magazine ban case. So let's talk about it. But real quick before we jump into this video, if you think that a ban on standard capacity magazines violates the Second Amendment and is completely unconstitutional, go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe. Also want to give a big shout out to one of the main sponsors of the channel, and that is Franklin Armory. Franklin Armory has 3 California compliant AR pistols that we can go out and purchase, as well as they have other products that individuals in different states can go out and purchase, like the binary trigger. So Franklin Armory is an amazing company. They've shown us a lot of support here on this channel. They believe in what we're doing, and I just can't thank them enough for showing us support and helping us put out these videos to spread the word about the Second Amendment and also spread the word about what's going on here in the state of California. So Duncan v. Becerra, also known as the Freedom Week 1.0 case. A lot of you are probably familiar with this case, but if you're not familiar with it, I have multiple videos out on my channel discussing comprehensively what exactly this case involves. If you're interested in that, you can click this tab right here. I'm not going to go comprehensively over what all this case entails or the procedural aspects of this case, because that's just not what this video is about. What I wanted to discuss in this video has to do with a lot of questions I've been getting asked about the docket entries, about multiple amicus briefs being filed by varying different parties, and a lot of people have been asking me, what exactly does this mean? And I've talked a little bit before about amicus briefs on different cases that we've seen, like the Rody v. Becerra case and a lot of other cases like the Miller v. Becerra case, which is still pending before Judge Benitez. And he shot down some amicus briefs, or actually a petition to file amicus briefs very recently. And so an amicus curiae brief is Latin for a friend of the court brief. So it is a non-party, so it is not the Attorney General's office, and it is not the named plaintiff Duncan. So it is not an individual who is a named party, but it is a third party who is filing a brief, which is pretty much just a legal argument to the court in support of one of those positions, whether being the plaintiffs or the defendants. So I'm just going to use plaintiffs and defendants because that's a term most of you are familiar with instead of appellees and appellants. So it is a brief that they file in support of that. So when you look at the Duncan v. Becerra docket, you can see that there was 4 amicus briefs that were filed in support of the appellants, which the appellants here were actually the defendants in the lower court's case, and it is actually the Attorney General's office. So these 4 different amicus briefs were filed in support of the state of California's position in seeking a petition for an en banc hearing. And what these amicus briefs do is it is a support of all these non-parties saying that, yes, the Ninth Circuit should grant the state of California's petition for an en banc rehearing. So when you look at these docket entries and you look at the various organizations, there were some cities and also some varying states. So I kind of want to talk about it because it's a little bit interesting. So you have varying cities here in the state of California that, of course, are very liberal, and of course they would support the Attorney General's office in the state of California seeking an en banc rehearing. It includes the city of San Francisco, city of Alameda, Calabasas, Los Angeles, Oakland, San Diego, Santa Monica, Sunnyvale, West Hollywood. So very prototypical, very liberal areas and cities here in the state of California. Then you have very liberal organizations that are also filing an amicus brief. And you have the Everytown for Gun Safety, Brady, Giffords Law Center to Prevent Gun Violence, those very prototypical organizations that we see file amicus briefs all the time in support of various gun control laws. But then what's also interesting is you have varying states and localities also filing amicus briefs in support of the state of California's position wanting a rehearing en banc. So you have the District of Columbia, the state of Connecticut, Delaware, Hawaii, Illinois, Maryland, Massachusetts, Virginia, Minnesota, New Jersey, New Mexico, New York, Oregon, Pennsylvania, Rhode Island, Vermont, Virginia, and Washington. They all filed a joint amicus brief supporting the state of California seeking an en banc rehearing. And then ultimately they are supporting the state of California's position that a magazine restriction or a magazine capacity limitation law is constitutional and does not violate the Second Amendment. That is pretty much what they are filing their amicus brief in support of. And what's very interesting about this and why I wanted to point this out is because a lot of these states don't even have these magazine restrictions in place. They don't have their own state statutes that limit magazine capacity. Some of the states do on that list, some of the states don't. So it's interesting that you have some of these varying states that are supporting California's magazine restriction laws when they themselves don't have that. So the reason why this is intriguing to me, and it really just goes to that greater argument of that this case has more impact than just the Ninth Circuit, and it has more impact than just on the state of California. If you find yourself in one of these states that is supporting what the state of California is putting forward, and they're seeking an en banc rehearing and supporting the state of California's statute in this situation, what that should signal to you is that your state is completely fine also with a magazine restriction. And the reason why they don't want the Ninth Circuit's 3-judge panel's ruling to be upheld is because down the road, if they were to institute some sort of magazine restriction as well in their state, people could challenge their state law or their state statute by pointing to the Ninth Circuit. Now, of course, the Ninth Circuit decision is not binding on some of these states, but it can be used as a legal example of why a restriction of this type is unconstitutional. So some of these states don't want that on the books in any means at all. Also, another thing I wanted to note is that CRPA, which is a very gun-friendly organization, has put forward $50,000 in support of the Duncan v. Becerra Ninth Circuit en banc rehearing procedure. So they are putting money towards our side. So I would highly recommend you go show support to people like CRPA, because like I mentioned, they already put some money behind fighting this in the Ninth Circuit level, as well as other organizations like Firearms Policy Coalition. I know they filed an amicus brief to the 3-judge panel, so I'm sure they'll be doing something similar to that as well. To the en banc rehearing procedure. So that's just a quick update on what's kind of developed here in the Duncan v. Becerra case. A lot of you were asking me, what did the amicus briefs mean? And really what it means is there's the anti-gun side is rallying their troops. A lot of these states are jumping behind what the state of California is doing. And it's very interesting that a lot of these states are jumping behind what the state of California is doing when they don't themselves have magazine restrictions in place. And it really should signal to you where their mindset is at, is that they want the ability to institute these types of laws if they want. So if you like this video and you like to support the channel, one of the best ways to do that is join Patreon, and I'll go ahead and put a link to the Patreon page down below. Also, just like, commenting, subscribing, and make sure you hit the notification bell, because that helps the channel analytics, helps us spread the word about the Second Amendment and also what we have to deal with here in the state of California. So as always, thanks you guys for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and never forget, this nation was built by armed scholars, and this nation will be maintained by armed scholars.